Hi everyone, welcome back to Plum Mashable. So for today's video we're going to be using some gorgeous die cuts from Luscious labels to make some very simple cards. So if you want to see how I made these ones, then just keep watching. Alright, so I've got these three gorgeous die collections from Luscious labels. So I wanted to use them to make three reasonably simple cards, but that are going to give you three very different looks. So my sort of idea is here to use each one to make a different card, and we'll use different techniques to make each one. So I'm going to start off with set number 2, and that's the one that's got these, oh no, sorry, I didn't want, I was set number 3. Sorry, my bad. Because it's got these gorgeous big ones. So I'm just grabbing my plain card bases. So these are just ones that I bought from Picture to Page last year, and I actually need to get some more, but we'll do that at some point. So I'm just folding them over, and these are the ones that I want to be with some ink. So I've got these two, so we're going to have two on here, and I'm going to grab out one of my inks. So I'm just going to put that there, and just to protect it and just to hold it still, I'm just going to put down some tape. So I'm putting that right across the score line, and then just sticking that down, and that'll sort of stop any of my ink, which I'm going to put here, moving along. We're going to put some really light coloured olive ink. So the colour inspiration here has come from in the middle of the Protea, which is that sort of olive green. So this one should give me the right kind of colour. It's a little bit on the greener side, but that's okay. So I'm just sort of lining these up where I want to put them. So sort of about the middle-ish. Go. And then I'm just going to tap down so I can sort of see where I'm working, and then just go outwards. So it's concentrated in the middle, but it will sort of fade up on the outside. It's sort of going to not end up being a circle, it's going to end up being a bit more of an oval. But I've got my line to work on. I'm just going to work this until I'm kind of happy with how it looks on the edges. I'm happy with the edge, I'm not happy with the shape. As much as I can, I'm trying not to put too much more ink on it, but it's actually got, because this brush isn't clean, it's got some other colours of green on here, so it's kind of playing with my colour a little bit. Darkening that up in the middle. And then we'll sort of pull this back in, have a look. That's darker than I wanted. I wanted it to be lighter than that, but that's alright. You can see it's kind of, because of the way it's sitting, it hasn't gone too far over, it's sort of still staying there. So that whole big strip in the middle is the only bit where there's any colour. And then what I'm going to do to kind of, I know I've got a little bit up here, but it's not too bad. And then just to add a little bit of extra, because we can't just have it looking like that, I'm just going to mask off the rest of this side, so I don't want to get any of the next bit on here. Oops, I never get enough. I'm going to put a couple of different colours of splatter. So I want a little bit just of water, so it's going to play with this colour, and then we're going to put just a little bit of the olive, and then we're going to put some black. And I love using a little bit of black, it gives you a very different finish. So I'm just grabbing my watercolours up, because we use the black watercolour that's in here. So a little bit of water in a couple of different spots. We'll start off with just the plain water. So I'm just straight down on there, that's not kind of working, and I want some bigger splats, so when I do want those I just sort of drip it on like that. It's probably a bit much, but we'll see. Yeah, actually that's not too bad. It was a bigger splatter than I wanted, but it gave me the effect I wanted, if that makes sense. Oh, I kind of like that. Then I'm just coming in with my water brush. I'm just picking picking up some of the olive. And then we'll do the same thing with a bit of the black. So rather than making a mess all over my mat, I'm just going to pick the black up straight with the water brush. I don't want too much. I don't want it to be black, but I don't want an over concentration of the black dots. So I'm being very gentle here. With that, I like the splatter. I think it worked out exactly where I wanted it to. So then I'm just going to stick these down. Like, there's no fanciness here. If you wanted, you could stick it up on foam tape. I think alright, I will cut it up on foam tape because it will look really good. It's just more that there's a lot of really delicate little spots in this, and I don't want them to get bent and hurt and kind of broken, but they should be okay. Just add a little bit of some smaller squares on the side so that they've got some even coverage. This is what I do whenever I put foam on. I will put it down while it's still got the backing on it, just so I can have a look at it, make sure it's definitely what I want. Stick that down, I'm kind of tossing up two different ways to do the sentiment. So one would be using black embossing powder and like stamping down the sentiment, and the other way would be using my Motex, because I think it would look really cool, but at the same time I'm not sure it'll be quite big enough. So I'm going to try it with the Motex and see what we get. Alright, that didn't quite work the way I wanted it to. I haven't pushed hard enough, so I haven't kind of got the thing. But I'm looking at it and thinking, no, it's too small anyway. So rather than redoing it, I'm just going to abandon this one. That's okay. There's always no harm in trying something and it not working. So we'll put that away for now. So I've got there's obviously lots of different ways to do sentiments. I've got a bunch, I've picked out a stamp set that I want to use the sentiment for, and then I've got this paper pad, which I think I'll do a background using the paper pad in a second. But I was sort of thinking maybe I could just grab one of the sentiments out of here. I just don't want to go, because this has got a very similar sort of colour palette. So I've grabbed out my Jessie's ABCs. This gives you a really delicate kind of font, which is sort of what I'm looking at here. So I'm just going to kind of pull this up first so you can sort of see the back again. I really love that front. That's worked out exactly the way I wanted it to, except for just a little bit of bleeding, but that's alright. So I'm going to set this up in my Misty because I find it a lot easier with the ABCs, and I'm going to practice once on a piece of scrap and then stamp it straight onto the card, because the last thing I want to do is ruin this at this point. that took a little bit longer than I wanted, I'll admit, but it's there now and it's exactly where I want it to be, so it'll be fine. So I'm just doing my test run first. I'm using Versamark ink because it's just that little bit darker and it's going to give me a really nice contrast on that green. I'm just making sure that that looks right. I can, you know, that looks fine. I was sort of thinking maybe the U looks a little bit too far away, but no, I think it's fine. I could heat emboss this and put it on black heat embossing. I just think I'll leave it as it is. I think the plain of it would actually, maybe a little bit of gold. Think a little bit of gold? Just black? Mine's not. I knocked off one of my teas. It's okay. I'm just making sure this is clean so I can put it down, sort of get the spot right again on my card. Okay, so we'll get the card in the right spot because rather than moving the letters around, I just moved around the card. That's fine. It's sort of just a different way to do it, but I want it to be as close as I can to where I had it. Alright, so we'll load that up with the ink. My moment of truth time. That's where I get really nervous. If I don't like the darkness of it, I'm just going to restamp it. It's the bonus of using the Misty. I have wobbled just a little bit, so there's a little shadow, but you won't notice it. There we go. It just looks dark, bolder now, which is nice. I'm actually going to leave the thinking of you right there in case I decide I want to use it again. Then we'll just stick these two down, and it will just look really, really lovely. Now I know that stamping of the letters took a long time, but if you had something like a sentiment somewhere that was already that thinking of you, if you didn't use alphabet letters, that would actually not take as long and would be really simple. So although that took a little while, the card itself still not particularly complicated. There you have a very simple but actually very, very pretty card that could go for anyone for any occasion. It could work for a birthday, it could work for anything else. Could have done thinking of you is in a straight line. I just decided to stack it for something different. I hate when I get stuff on the inside, but that's alright. Alright, so there's one. The second one we're going to do, we're going to use a little bit of patterned paper. So I'm going to grab that Kaisercraft notepad in. This time we're going to use set number 3. I think it's set number 3. Just going to make sure my inks and stuff are all away. So because this has got this absolutely stunning little corner flower, I want to kind of use that on its own, but I thought we'll add in some pattern paper behind it just to kind of give it a bit of oomph. I was leaning towards this green one, but now I sort of think it might overpower the green. Oh no, it still works. Still works. So I'll grab that out. Grab the paper trimmer. So I'm going to cut it to 10. So I want just a little white border around the outside. So this is 10.5 by 14.8. So if I cut it to 10 by 14.3, it'll just have a nice little border around the outside. I don't need it to be 100% perfect, so I'm not panicking here if this isn't exactly the right width. Definitely going to pop this one up, although it's going to be difficult with the very simpleness of that. And then I'll use a sentiment from the pad as well. I don't want to use thank you because I'm going to use thank you on my other one. So I'm going to try this enjoy your birthday one. I might not like it yet, but yeah, no, I don't like it. I'm going to stick this down because it's bugging me that it keeps wobbling. Could always go this way and have just a sentiment like that. And I was going to use, I'm using a banner on the next one, but that might still work on here. So I'm grabbing this one here that says for someone special. The only reason I don't like using these is because you always get the little knobbly bits. That's alright, I can fix that. put some, could put 2 flowers. I'm kind of stuck in the middle because I like the simplicity of just the one. But at the same time, having the 2 might be nice as well. This is where I love these leaf ones because they just build up. No, that's enough. I think just the one. So I'm going to stick all of this down with foam tape. Actually, the little flower on the back I'm going to do flat, but I'll do these ones with foam tape. So just get the little, as much as I can covered in it. Obviously some of them are very, very small little hanging bits, so it might be more difficult, but we'll give it a shot. Delicate little bits, there's just nothing I can do with those. They're not gonna, I'll never be able to get them to find a piece of foam tape that'll sit behind them, so I'm not going to even try and just sit there the way they are. That'll be fine. Sentiment there as well. I'm just going to have it so that the flower sits over the top. I'm actually now tempted to put one more little sprig. So I'm actually mixing set 2 and set 1 here. Yes, set 2 and set 1. So I'm just going to stick the little sprig down. I'm a little worried that I'm going to lose the placement of it, but I'll use liquid glue and that way I've got some time to wiggle it around. And actually just using the tissue I had before. If I've ever got something that I know I've got too much glue on, I'll just pat it off with a bit of a tissue, like with a tissue, especially if you can't see it. Very simple. It's seriously just paper. Like, you can't get much easier than that. If you wanted to add just a little bit more to this one, which I don't think I will for this time, but would be really easy to do, just grab some gold watercolor paint or gold paint of some kind. Just put some little dots of gold sort of all over where the little sprigs are. I think it would look gorgeous with just a little bit of gold. That's not straight and it's going to bug me. I didn't cut it particularly straight either, so I'll blame that one on me. And then the last one, we're just going to do something a little bit more, just a little bit more. So I'm grabbing this bit of red cardstock. I'm just cutting just a little 1.5 centimeter strip. Just using my trimmer for this, and I'm obviously using my big one because it won't fit my little one. If it's not completely straight, I'll fix it up afterwards. And on this one, I'm going to white heat emboss the sentiment from this stamp set that I was playing with before. So I want the thanks for being my friend, and I want the solid one. So I've got the thanks here, and then for being my friend. And I want this to be just a straight sentiment. I don't want there to be any flaggies or anything on the end. So I'm just lining this up. Could use the Misty for this because it's already got that other one in it. I'm just leaving it. And you can either have this sort of centered or top aligned or bottom aligned. It doesn't really matter. It's whatever you think looks best. Just put that with my block. I'm grabbing my powder and my white heat embossing powder. Just also going to grab just a little bit of masking tape just to hold that still while I'm playing with it. So a little bit of powder just before we heat emboss. I always put too much, but it's alright. Just grabbing my embossing ink. Just load this up. In that card base again, just fold that over. This would also look really good on black if you wanted to do a black one, but I'm going to stick with a white one this time. So I want the red to sort of be a band right across, and then using all these gorgeous leaves from the first kit, and sort of put these in behind it. So I might actually start with putting the sentiment down. I want it to be popped up because I want to use the room behind it to kind of play. So we'll get how much we need there. It doesn't matter if it's a little bit less. Actually, before I stick that, I'll do this bit first. So I'm just gonna actually use the card to help me do this. Stick that down and then just cut off the little bit of excess. Just gonna give this a quick rub with my microfiber cloth too, just to get off all the excess. So it's gonna sit on there like that, and we can kind of tuck in the sprigs. Now I want there to be just one of the little gum nuts, and I'm fine to sort of trim some of these off if they pop out at the bottom. Not gum nuts, whatever they're called. It's a little bit like the second one. We're using the corner more than we're sort of going too far out, but then building it up. I think maybe like that. So it's very built up on the left, but doesn't really sort of come too far over to the right. So once I'm happy with that, this is a little trick I've used when I'm sort of happy with placements and stuff. Just grab my phone out and just take a picture, and that way I can kind of guide myself when I'm sticking these down, because these will all have to be stuck reasonably carefully. So I'm going to start off with this one. I'm just going to use liquid glue for all of these. Tiny spot on that red that's driving me a little bit nuts, but not enough to panic about. I've just got a little bit more hanging over the edge, so I'm just fixing that up. And there's number 3. I actually think I like 3 the best. I think that's kind of turned out exactly how I'd been sort of dreaming it would. Don't know why I did 2 horizontal cards and only 1 vertical, but anyway, something different. But there we go, 3 cards using the Painted Protea's die cut collections from Luscious labels. I like that they're all a little bit different. They're definitely different for me. I'm used to doing sort of scene cards. This is fun, just getting some die cuts and just seeing what you can create, whether you use ink, whether you use pattern paper, or whether you just kind of use the card itself as your background and kind of build up from it. I think you can get some really cool results using some die cut packs like this, and they're really, really good value, like $3.50 for 2 of them and $4.50 for the other. I will link them down below so you can find them really easily. But I think, yeah, they've turned out exactly the way I wanted them to. Simple, not too complicated. If you've got a kind of couple of hours, not even a couple of hours, what, half an hour, you can knock up 3 of these with not too much of a problem. So that is it for this video. I hope you did enjoy it. Please give it a big old thumbs up if you did, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for any future card making videos. I do have a few cards coming up for you in the next couple of weeks, so if you are a card maker, make sure you're subscribed now because you'll get to see some cool stuff. Don't forget to follow me on all of my social medias as well. They are all linked for you down below. I hope you have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day, and I'll catch you again in my next video. Sending lots of huggles. Bye!